Tonight you plug in your phone before bed and set tomorrow's alarm. In the morning, you unlock your car and check messages before leaving. Then every battery on Earth stops working at exactly the same moment. The lights don't necessarily vanish because batteries aren't the power plants. They're storage holding electricity generated somewhere else for later use. So your wall sock, it may still work, at least for now. Your phone won't, because its battery is the thing keeping it alive. So what disappears first, power itself, or your connection to it? The answer arrives in billions of tiny screens going dark together. In 2020, mobile subscriptions reached 9.1 billion worldwide. That isn't 9.1 billion phones, but it signals a huge battery-dependent network. Tablets become silent slabs and laptops become expensive paper whites. Power banks failed, removing the backup people usually carry. Even a hearing aid can become useless without announcing the change. A flashlight is now just a tube with a bulb inside. Your alarm may fail not because the grid died, but because its backup did. What about electric cars already carrying their fuel beneath the floor? They stop immediately because the traction battery is their energy source. Nearly 58 million electric cars existed worldwide at the end of 2024. Imagine everyone becoming immobile during the trip. It started. An electric bus blocks a lane while an e-bike frees is beside it. A wheelchair powered by batteries stops being transportation and becomes confinement. At a warehouse, forklifts and robots lose the movement that makes deliveries possible. How much electricity has vanished really? Not all generation, but every battery buffer that made generation easier to manage. Grid batteries help regulate frequency, keeping alternating current near 60 cycles per second. Without them, the grid is one of its shock absorbers. The lights can stay on while the system becomes less forgiving. A small disturbance now has fewer stored resources, is ready to answer it. That distinction matters because stored power and generated power aren't interchangeable. At a home with solar panels, the battery's disappearance change is the promise. The panels may still generate electricity while sunlight reaches them, but the house is landing the ability to keep essential loads running alone. At a fire station, that backup was designed for the outage itself. Now the emergency building depends on the same vulnerable grid as everyone else. Hospitals face a sharper version of the same problem. Their uninterruptible power supplies normally bridge brief disturbance is until generators respond. Remove the batteries and that bridge collapse is before the generator can help. Sensitive equipment doesn't need a citywide blackout to be damaged. A brief voltage disturbance may suddenly become the whole event. Who feels that first? Someone whose breathing machine depends on stored electricity may already know. CDC guidance treats breathing equipment as something requiring emergency power planning. For many portable oxygen concentrators, low settings offer roughly 3 to 4 hours. Higher oxygen settings can shorten that window. That isn't an abstract infrastructure problem. It's somebody's next breath. Power wheelchairs stop to, turning a mobility tool into a fixed position. Home dialysis face is the same brutal dependence on reliable emergency power. The failure is unequal from the first minute. For one person, a dead battery means waiting for another. Danger begins. Now look upward where batteries quietly keep spacecraft alive. Satellites use stored electricity when Earth blocks their sunlight. GOES, weather satellites can rely on batteries for up to 72 minutes daily. During that eclipse, the normal handoff from sunlight simply has nowhere to go. Weather data gaps begin appearing exactly when observation still matters. Communications don't vanish everywhere, but their hidden reserves become unreliable. An aircraft doesn't automatically fall because its batteries die. Its batteries support standby and emergency electrical systems instead. That means an electrical fault loose is the backup designed to contain it. Many ordinary failures become far more dangerous without that second chance. Would every machine stop instantly? No, but every machine relying on stored electricity lose is its safety margin. That margin is what keeps complex systems calm during tiny failures. At telecom sites, batteries keep networks alive through interruptions. At data centers, they help computers ride through the gap before generators start. Without that bridge, a flicker can become a shutdown, and a shutdown makes recovery harder because recovery needs working tools. The vehicles used to move supplies may be electric and immobile. The radios coordinating crews may depend on batteries that just disappeared. The equipment starting generators may need the same missing spark. So the first day is not darkness, it's friction everywhere. A door won't unlock, a vehicle won't move, and a call won't connect. Each failure is small until it meets another failure near. By the end of a week, those missing buffers have become procedures. People check systems manually because automatic protection can't be trusted. Emergency service is keep working where possible, but with fewer shortcuts. A battery-dependent alarm becomes a silence people must notice themselves. A stranded electric vehicle becomes a physical obstacle in somebody else's route. A dead warehouse row, but leaves a shipment waiting behind one stopped motor. Can the grid simply replace every lost battery with more generation? Not directly, because generation makes electricity while batteries manage when it arrives. That timing is the quiet service the world has lost. At larger scale, storage capacity disappears from utilities across the planet. The supplied research records more than 26 gigawatts in U.S. utility batteries. Picture more than 26 hypothetical 1 gigawatt storage plants vanishing together. That isn't fuel-burning generation disappearing, it's balancing capacity disappearing. The world also deployed 108 gigawatts of new battery storage in 2025. Think of that as 108 separate 1 gigawatt storage plants losing their role. Again, the important word is storage, not ordinary power generation. Even electric vehicle batteries represented more than 950 gigawatt-hours of demand. That's over 950 million 1 kilowatt-hour battery units in one ecosystem. They weren't all powering the grid, but they were all suddenly unavailable. Across a century, the bigger problem becomes replacement and coordination. Dead batteries disable the tools used to build, move, and monitor replacements. Factories lose backup protection, while warehouses lose battery-powered movement. Telecom networks lose reserve power, making coordination progressively more local. You'd still see electricity in places, but less certainty behind it. That is the long escalation, not one blackout, but repeated weaker recoveries. What parts of this are established and what parts are guesses? We know batteries store electricity generated elsewhere rather than creating primary power. We know electric cars use traction batteries as their energy source. We know grid batteries regulate frequency and provide backup services. We know medical device can require emergency power planning. We are guessing how each country would sequence repairs after simultaneous failure. We are guessing which systems would fail first, because designs differ everywhere. The exact cascade isn't established, the dependency is. That admission matters because the danger comes from structure, not spectacle. Now make the enormous event small enough to stand beside. You wake up, reach for your phone, and find no familiar glow. Your car key fob doesn't answer even though the streetlights still do. That contrast is the whole event in miniature. The world hasn't lost every elect. It has lost its stored patience. Every system now has to handle surprise, is without the pause batteries provided, and that makes recovery harder than the original silence, because the tools for fixing the future were part of the failure. Tonight you plug in your phone before bed and set tomorrow's alarm. That ordinary ritual is a fragile luxury built on stored electricity